everybody, Martina Bex here with another super fast video for an activity that you can do in your language classes. I was just working on this one for Unit 23 of the Somos curriculum, Level 1, and I thought, this is one of those things I've got to share with you guys. So the activity could be called first or second or before or after, but basically the gist is that students are considering two things and they're trying to decide which one happened first and which one happened second, or which one happened before and which one happened after. And there's a lot of different ways that you can do this. Now, first of all, if you want to do this no prep, say you have a story that you read with your students or that you created with your students. Without them reading anything, you just think back on the story, or if you have a printed copy, you can just name off two events. And usually it's helpful if you say label something as A or B, or if you hold up your hands to signal and you say the dog barked, the girl screamed. The dog barked or the girl screamed. Which one happened first? And then students could even point to one of your two hands. Or you could say, A, the dog barked. B, the girl screamed. And then you say, which one happened first? Or which one happened second? Now, if your students don't understand the question, which one happened first or second, you'll want to scaffold that ahead of time. So you might write on the board, if it were Spanish, primero, and then right next to it, first, and then segundo, right on the board, and then next to it, second. And then when you ask students which one happened first, you can point to the word first so that they know that that's the question that you're asking. But again, you can use signals like this so that students are pointing in one of the directions. They could move one way or the other, or they could say A or B. That's probably going to be better than them having to try to regurgitate the full sentence that you just said. Another way that you could do it if you have a little bit of time to prepare, and this is what I was just doing for the Somos curriculum, there's a lot of different ways that you could do this. You could post two different events on a slide, or more than two, but you could post two on a slide, so one on the left, one on the right, and you could ask students which one happened first. And you could tell students that in order to show, you could play it like the fly swatter game. So if students are allowed to be interacting closely with each other, the fly swatter game, you just have two teams, each one has a fly swatter, and students run up to the board and they try to be the first one to slap the correct answer. And then they go to the end of their line and another teammate comes up for the next one. If you don't want to play it like that, if you want all students to be engaged, you can have students physically move their bodies to show which side happened first or which side happened second, depending on the question you're asking. So if students have to stay in their own space, you could just tell them to move to the left of their space, move to the right of their space. If they are allowed to move around the room, you could have students run to one side of the room or another. So they could run to the left side of the room, run to the right side of the room. You could have them all stand up in a line. Oh gosh, I forget the name of the teacher that shared this on Facebook a few years ago, but if you look it up on my blog, it's called Run. But they all stand in a line in front of the projector, which is great if you have like a very long room, and then they can run to one side of the room, the other at the same time. So they all start from the same place and they move to the side. Another way that you can do it if you don't want to project it, you could do it like a quiz trade, where every student gets one event from the story and they have to go around talking to different classmates. They read their event and their classmate reads their event, and they have to decide which one happened first. And they could just mark that by like putting a tally on the back of their paper if theirs was the event that happened first, or they could write a 1 or a 2 based on whether it was first or second, and then have them trade cards. So it's quiz, you say your event, and then your partner says theirs, quiz, and then you trade cards. And so now you have a new event you're looking with and you go find another partner. That activity is great when students are reading printed cards because it's good input. The purpose is not to get students speaking, but the students generally like interacting with other humans, and it still is input because they're doing all this reading and they're listening to correct language as well, but don't do it for too long, 5 minutes tops, I would say. Another way that you can do it is just printing it out on paper and having students in pairs. So on the paper, print out sets of events. So on a single paper, you might have like 10 different pairs of events. Have each partner sitting there with a marker, and you can read out loud the two events. So read the first pair of events out loud, and then you call out which one happened first or which one happened second. So they won't know what you're going to call out, if you're going to call out first or second. And then they race to be the one that like puts their initial on it first or X's it out first. And then of course you could always just make a little worksheet for kids that aren't in class with you and need to do something at home where they just have to label which one went first or second. So really easy way to review what happened in content to help students really process that language and understand it at a deep level. And it can be done in all different kinds of ways, ranging from no prep to lots of prep.